Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. Today, I want to talk about expectations and why they caused me a lot of problems in my active addiction and what I've had to learn to do with expectations and adjust about my expectations in recovery. To start out, I want to read a passage from Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart by Mark Epstein. And in this passage, he says, in the Buddhist teaching on transience, his point is that everything is always changing. When we take loved objects into our egos with the hope or expectation of having them forever, we are deluding ourselves and postponing an inevitable grief. The solution is not to deny attachment, but to become less controlling in how we love. From a Buddhist perspective, it is the very tendency to protect ourselves against mourning that is the cause of the greatest dissatisfaction. Another way to put some of the sentiments that are in that passage is to say expectations are premeditated resentments. And that's something that I was told by one of the technicians at the residential center that I stayed at when I started my recovery journey. Expectations are premeditated resentments. When we expect, especially other people, to do particular things and they don't do them, then a natural reaction there is to form a resentment against those people. So we have to look at our expectations and really figure out, one, whether they're necessary, and two, whether they're hurting us more than they're helping us. I'll give you an example. At one point, and this was back when I was in my active addiction, I was driving to work, and it was a rainy morning. I hit the brakes, and I must have been on an oil slick or something like that, and my car ran into a curb at a little intersection, and it damaged the front wheel where I couldn't drive away. And fortunately, nobody was hurt, and it was just me in the accident. And so I called a friend to help me out, and I expected this friend to be available to me. That's a selfish part coming through. I expected this friend to drop everything. Upon hearing that I'd had a car accident, to drop whatever he had going on and come and help me out. And when I called and talked to this friend, and he heard that everything was okay and that I had a tow truck coming and that nobody was hurt, he said, well, I'm in the middle of doing something. I can't really come right now. And in my opinion, what he was doing wasn't as important as coming to help me out. So I formed a resentment against him that lasted until I did my fourth step in my AA step work. And I had this expectation that as a friend, I was entitled to his time. I had this expectation that he would help me out in any situation, and that's not a fair expectation, and nor it and in that particular time, it was a very selfish thought for me to think that he would drop everything to help me out of a little bit of discomfort, because at the end of the day, I did not need him to be there to help me. I had everything I needed. I had a ride home. I had someone who was helping me out. It was not something that I needed his help. I just would have liked it at that point. So looking at a few general types of expectations that we have in life, we got to break these down in recovery to make sure that we're not holding on to expectations that are potentially going to cause us resentments or grief in the future. The expectation that if I do good things will happen. I don't like this expectation. And the reason is that a lot of times we do good things, and either it takes a long time for the good things to happen afterwards, or they never happen. There are lots of examples of people who do good things and then terrible things happen to them. That's life. And so I don't like, and some people might not agree with me on that, and that's okay. But I really do believe that life is not fair. That there are times that you will do good things and bad things will happen to you. And that's why it's important not to do good things because you expect good to return, but to do good things because doing good things is the right thing to do. That's what I think is important. And so that's an expectation that's been important for me to get rid of, and to realign my thinking that I'm just going to do good things, not because I expect something in return, but because doing good things is the way I want to spend time in my life. Um, here's a very material example that I've had to let go of. Expecting to retire from work comfortably. I've been working for 20 years now, and I've been, from my first paycheck, I've been saving for retirement. And I realized recently that it's kind of foolish to think that the world in 25 years, when hopefully I can retire, is going to look similar to what it does now, and that's going to be a possibility for me. It's, we could be, by the time we get to 2045, it could be Mad Max Thunderdome. Who knows? And so the idea that just because I'm doing what I should now to prepare for a possibility, that possibility is going to happen, that's a bad idea. That could get to a point where I get a lot of resentment in my life at a later age, because things didn't turn out like I expected. And that goes to expecting fairness as well. This is another thing I've had to get rid of. I had this expectation in my life that everything would be fair, that life was ultimately fair, that if you did good things happen. If you did bad things happen. If you do something bad, you get punished for it. If you do something good, you get rewarded. I've had to get rid of all of those expectations, because expecting fairness in life is just going to lead to disappointment. And the expectation of fairness is in some ways a little bit trying to control life. If you expect life to be fair, then you expect to be able to set the terms on which life occurs. And we need to be able to borrow a phrase from AA, we need to be able to live life on life's terms and not set the terms, And fairness is an example of something that it's different to everybody. So what one person feels like is fair is different from what another person feels. So if you feel like you should expect fairness out of life and have defined what that fairness looks like, you're trying to set your own terms for what life is going to do. So moving from expecting things in life, moving out of expectations, I had to ask, what's the opposite of this? What's the mental state that I should be moving toward if I'm not living a life full of expectations? And I would argue that moving from expectations of what will be to gratitude for what is, that's the mental state that I've tried to get to. So I try to hold on to gratitude for what's happening right now, what's happening presently in my life, and not praying for or hoping for certain things to happen in the future, not expecting certain things to happen in the future, but just being grateful for what's happening right now and doing whatever the next right thing is based on what's happening right now. By doing this, I get to watch life play out on its own after that. And that has helped me find a sense of adventure in life that was absent from my life during especially the latter part of my active addiction. It's helped me find a little bit more and become a little bit more interested in life and in seeing how life works itself out and looking at the meaning behind the things that happen that used to I tried to control, and these days I just watch and observe and enjoy. And that really has helped ultimately relieve a lot of pressure from me, helped me relax a little bit into life, which has helped me enjoy it a little bit more and enjoy the people around me more. But to do that, I had to get to a point where I was willing to let go of expectations and refocus not on what I wanted to happen and what I thought should happen, but what is happening. That's it for today. I'll be back here tomorrow with more. In the meantime, have a good one.